Hi guys, welcome to my third set of book critiques. The first story I chose to review is Snuffle Bunny, and this story is about a little boy who leaves his favorite stuffed bunny at the laundromat. The illustrator does a great job of showing this process throughout the images of him getting tangled up within the clothes and nobody else around is noticing. And at the end they find it and the little boy speaks his first words, yelling Snuffle Bunny. The next story is The Hello Goodbye Window. It's about a little boy who goes to his nanny and Poppy's house and loves this front window, which he calls the Hello Goodbye window. Here's him and Poppy looking in the window and looking at the reflection. These illustrations are just so beautiful with the watercolor and pastels used. And then here's the beautiful night sky and all the stars, and they kind of look like scribbles, but it's just very beautiful abstract art. The Noisy Paint Box is about an artist, and he claims that his music expresses art, and you could just see the music and the paints talking, and they say crunching Christmas squares, whispering charcoal lines. Vesya named these paintings after the music he loved. He created something entirely new, abstract art. And also here, metronome, walking down the stairs. The illustrations are just absolutely breathtaking in this story. The Adventures of Beagle, the Unimaginary Friend, is the next story. And this is from the perspective of the imaginary friend instead of the human, which normally we would hear these stories from. And so it's about them finding each other. And at first, they weren't sure what to do. Neither of them had had a friend before. But after a while, they realized that they were perfect together. The next story is Sylvester and the Magic Pebble, and this is about a donkey who collects pebbles and loves them. And one day he finds this red one, which he finds out is magic and can grant any wish. And he wishes that he was a rock. And he gets stuck as this rock. And here's his parents, so sad, heartbroken that their son hasn't come home, and they file the police report and nobody can find him, when he's really just hidden in plain sight. And you can just see the emotions in these images are just beautiful. You could see the flowers drooping, just portraying this sad emotion. And then in the end, the sun shining, all those rays so vibrant and bright. And you could see this little tear of joy and the smile on his dad's face. The next story is Where the Wild Things Are, and this is about a little boy named Max who is wearing his wolf suit, and he gets sent to his room for being disruptive. And when he goes in his room, he begins imagining his room as a wild jungle, and where he's the boss of all the monsters. So you can see him just climbing around in the trees with the monsters, and him leading the pack of all the monsters and them just following him. This next story is a little different. It's called A Crossover, and it's for older students 5th through 7th grade in poetry, and it's very multicultural. Here's an example of one of the poems. All the poems go in order and basically tell the story of him growing apart from his twin and coping with it through basketball. And so just here's an example of how the author uses bigger font or kind of a slanted font to help draw pictures in the story, since there are no images and it's just plain black text. Hey Water is my featured text, and this story follows a little girl who explores water and her environment, and she explores all these different types of bodies of water and all the different things which water contain. For example, faucets, rivers, and snowmen. At the end of the story, there's a few pages that talk about the water cycle and the different forms that water takes. So here's 2 pages from the story. So water, even when you try to fool me, I know you. You blast and huff, and you whistle and puff. Steam, so it talks about water in the form of steam. And here, you're hiding in this funny guy. And he's talking about the snowman. And then you're also hiding in me too, because the story talks about how water is in everything. So the first lesson I would do is with the Ohio Learning Standards for 1st grade, that water on Earth is present in many forms. And after this lesson on the water cycle, the 1st graders will create an online diagram of the cycle, and they can either create their own or they can use my template for a modified version of the assignment, and they will just have to click, drag, and match the correct part of this cycle to its definition and image. So here's the example of the water cycle from the book. And here's my example that I created, and this is also the template that they would use, is right here. They can click and drag these definitions and titles and images to where they belong if they need that assistance. The next activity that I would do is combining a first and fourth grade lesson. And so the first grade standard would be that participate in shared research and writing projects, and the fourth grade standard is that they use technology to produce and publish writing while demonstrating their keyboarding skills. So together they will write a story from a perspective of the raindrop and go through the story of the raindrop's life, including the water cycle. And the first grader will teach their fourth grade buddy about this water cycle and what they have learned. Here are the titles I reviewed in case you want to go over them. Have a great day.